Good morning, everyone. I am S.T. Arjun, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Rovani College of Engineering and Technology. So today we are going to discuss about the topic 3D printing. Right. 3D printer. So what is 3D printing? So 3D printing is a type of printer which is used to create a three-dimensional object in a layer by layer format. So, okay, 3D printer is absolutely like a printer which is used to build or create an object from ground up one layer at a time. So layer by layer it adds on and it creates the objects. So that's why 3D printing is a best example for additive manufacturing. So how to create an object using a 3D printer? So first you have to create a design using a computer software. So there are numerous amount of softwares available through which you can create a three-dimensional design. So using that three-dimensional design, you can create a very detailed um, parameters in the design so that you can create your desired output. So you can create any parts like for example you can create robots, you can create a building structure, you can create a human face, anything you can create. So for example we have given three objects here: a robot, a pineapple, slinky, and you have all seen a movie that Finding a Dory. So the Dory fish model also it has been created. So you can create any toys or any components using a 3D printer. So to understand the 3D printer, how it works, first you need to learn about the 3D printer. So 3D printer comes in different shapes and different sizes, but all the 3D printer consist of same components like extruders, the filament, the base table. So all the components are same, even though printer size and structure differs. So from the next slide, we are going to discuss about the important parts of a 3D printer. So what are the parts of the 3D printer? You have a display unit, you have extruder, we have filament, hot end, print bed, build volume, cooling fan. So these are the main components of the 3D printer. So now we can discuss the working of the components. So what are these components used for? So display unit. The display unit shows the functions such as time to print and fill rate. So the display unit shows how much time is remaining to print your idea or print your design, and also the fill rate, the amount of filament which is used or getting used to create your objects. So these are the parameters which will be shown in the display unit. The second one is the extruder. This is the main component of the 3D printer because the extruder is the component which pulls out the filament layer by layer to create the objects. The extruder will get heated up, and it also heats the material so that the soft sticky material gets pushed out from the nozzle, and it sediments like layer, and it forms as a sediment like a layer by layer format, and it will create your idea or create the part. So next is the filament. So this filament is the material, that is the input material which you are using to create the structure. So, okay, the filament is the material that is used to create the part. Usually the part is made from different kind of plastics, either PLA, that is polylactic acid, carbon fiber, or nylon. So these are the input filament. There are different types of filaments which you can use. Plastics, you can use ABS plastic, we can use nylon. PLA, that is one of the important filament which we are using nowadays because that is an biodegradable material. So the PLA we can also used in the 3D printer as a filament material. The next is the hot end. The hot end is nothing but is the tip of the extruder where the hot material comes out. That is the hot filament comes out by material and gets deposited and will create the part. The print bed is the base at which the filament comes out of the extruder and get deposited by layer. That build volume. The build volume is nothing but the three-dimensional space available to create your part. So the bulk volume, for example, it has certain capacity of certain capacity. So beyond that capacity, you cannot create a part. So you can create a part within that capacity. So that is the built volume. The cooling fan. So overheating can cause damages. To avoid overcooling, the cooling fan has been mounted near the extruder. So it will cool the material to a certain extent while it is coming out of the extruder. So, okay. There is a video link I have given here how the 3D printer works. For any references, you can use the video link here. So, okay, in this video, the detailed explanation by a very detailed explanation has been given um, to understand the complete working of a 3D printer. So next, we are going to discuss about the principles of a 3D printer. So what are the principles the 3D printer is getting followed? The first is modeling. So modeling, by using a software, you have to create a three-dimensional model. Next is the printing. This three-dimensional model which you have created has been given as an input information to the 3D printer. And next is the finishing. Finishing is nothing but removing unwanted materials from the printed object. So 3D printing procedure. Here is the exact workflow has been given here. First, 3D CAD model of the product which you want to develop should be created using a CAD software. From the CAD software, the output file has been exported to the 3D printer, but in a .stl file format. Only this format the 3D printer can accept. So .stl file format from the CAD modeling software, .stl file format will be forwarded to the slicing software. The slicing software is used for the finishing purpose. So after creating the 3D model, there will be some, for example, an additional amount of materials structure has been will also form as a sediment layer. So you can remove the unwanted layers in the by the slicing software. Then after that, the layer slice and tool path, that is the 3D printer object. These two, the layer slice and tool path and the 3D printer gets combined, and the desired object will be created. And finally, the 3D object, the design which you have created as a 3D model, you can get it. So now, what are the printing material methods are available in the 3D printing? So 3D printing methods are, there are different types of methods which has been invented since 1970. So some of the popular printing methods which are using nowadays are, there are four types that are selective laser sintering, that is SLS format method, and stereolithography SLA method, fused deposition modeling, that is FDM method, laminated object manufacturing method, that is the LOM method. So we can discuss each and every method in the forthcoming slides. First, the selective laser sintering. So this method, the schematic representation of this method has been given in the diagram for your reference here. So what is a selective laser sintering? It is an additive manufacturing process that uses high power laser to fuse small particles of plastic or metal or ceramic or glass powder. So here the plastic, metal, ceramic, and glass powder, these are the filament materials. That is the input material. Okay, this in these materials will get fused into a mass that has a desired three-dimensional shape. For a In a simple way, how can we say means this 3D printer in selective laser sintering method, the high power laser will dissolve or fuse the plastic, ceramic, glass powder into a layer by layer format, and it will create a three-dimensional shape. Now, next one is stereolithography. The stereolithography is a technique for layer by layer structure fabrication. So stereolithography means it is a layer by layer technique fabrication, where a laser, here also we are using the laser beam, where a laser beam is focused on a free surface of a photosensitive liquid to induce polymerization of liquid in that region that transform it to a polymerized solid. So the third one is fused deposition modeling method. The FDM is a filament based process in which filament made from various materials is melted, which forms paste. So okay, the FDM material it will melt the input material to form as a paste. Then this paste will get deposited in the base layer by layer, and the product will be formed. The last one is laminated object manufacturing. That is LOM method. The LOM is a rapid prototyping system originally developed by Helicis company. The LOM technology uses adhesive coated paper or plastic or metal laminates as a 3D printing medium. Okay, these sheets of material are glued together layer by layer and cut into a shape using a knife or with a laser cutting. So the different sheets with different glued sheets will form layer by layer, and finally a laser light will be used to cut the sheets, and the output product will get formed. Okay, so these much times we have discussed different types of printing methods and the principles. So for example, a small activity suggestion has been given to you, so you can do it for your own development purpose. So you can label the parts, you can using a 3D printer, you can label the parts. So you can find out what are the parts which are used in the 3D printer, and you can analyze the names of those parts. Okay, so today we have learned something about the 3D printer. So you can take your own design and make your 3D. You can buy a 3D printer and you can make your own 3D printable object. So today we have discussed about how the 3D printer works, what are the parts of the 3D printer, and 3D printer principles, and we have also discussed some important 3D printing methods. So hope you enjoyed this lecture, and thank you.